Page 274. Tech Company One's connections to the DNC and the Clinton campaign. The office's investigation also identified evidence that the Clinton campaign and the DNC maintained or sought contemporaneous relationships with Tech Company One personnel and used or considered using Tech Company One's products and services at around the same time as Joffe's efforts to promote the Alpha Bank and Vodafone allegations. The campaign and the DNC considered Tech Company One a possible source of data, including telephone metadata, and there were a number of communications regarding Tech Company One data. The office examined this information in considering whether the campaign or the DNC maintained broader relationships with Tech Company One that might have led or contributed to Joffe's Alpha Bank with the Vodafone activities. Although the office identified multiple instances in which the campaign or the DNC maintained ties or communicated with Tech Company One and its employees, we did not identify evidence established that any such activities originated with Joffe or related to Alpha Bank or Vodafone allegations. Joffe was not copied or addressed on these communications, and the office did not identify evidence of his awareness of these discussions. We also are not aware of any evidence that the campaign or the DNC used this data to conduct opposition research to gather information regarding an opposing candidate or opposed to voter information, or otherwise targeted Trump or his associates. The office also considered whether any conduct related to the Tech Company One data constituted an illegal campaign contribution to the Clinton campaign by Tech Company One or other related criminal status. The office did not identify any chargeable criminal conduct in this regard. Other post-election efforts to continue researching and disseminating the Alpha Bank and Vodafone allegations. In addition to the above efforts to disseminate the Alpha Bank and Vodafone allegations to the FBI and CIA and Congress, the office identified other efforts to generate and disseminate research and other materials relevant to the allegations during the post-election period, page 275. These post-election activities included continued efforts by employees of Tech Company One and Tech Company Two, including Tech Company Two Executive One, to gather data and information concerning Trump, Russia, and other topics, and efforts by Research Executive One to conduct research and analysis through a nonprofit organization that Research Executive One created in 2017 with the assistance of former HFA Chairman John Podesta, Fusion GPS founder Glenn Simpson, and others. Continued efforts through Joffe-affiliated companies. Documents and other records that the office gathered from private entities reflected that during or around the same time period as the aforementioned letters from Senator Reid and afterwards, Joffe was continuing to use Tech Company One resources and personnel to discuss research issues relating to Trump and Russia, including the Alpha Bank and Vodafone allegations. For example, emails and other evidence reflected that in early 2017 and afterward, Joffe tasked Tech Company One Employee One to run researchers over Tech Company One's DNS traffic to gather additional information concerning the Alpha Bank and Vodafone allegations. In particular, according to Tech Company One Employee One, at or around the time of Trump's inauguration, Tech Company One Employee One had been running queries for Joffe related to Trump, including queries related to Alpha Bank, Vodafone, and EOP. Joffe and Tech Company One Employee One intended to continue running certain of these queries after Trump's inauguration. Soon after the inauguration, however, Tech Company One Employee One and Joffe noticed that Tech Company One's access to the EOP's DNS traffic had ceased. Tech Company One Employee One and Joffe never learned why Tech Company One no longer had access to the EOP's DNS data, but it was clear that Tech Company 5, the contractor that handled the EOP's DNS traffic, and the company for which Tech Company One maintained the EOP's DNS servers, was no longer handling the EOP data. The office was unable to determine the reason such data access ceased. During the time period, Joffe also continued to direct Tech Company One Employee One to run Trump-related searches over Tech Company One's data, and emails reflect the aforementioned end of Tech Company One's access to EOP data. For example, on February 14, 2017, 5 days after Sussman's meeting with the CIA, Joffe emailed Tech Company One Employee One with the subject line, quote, "for obvious reasons," end quote, and stated in the email, "Could you please run a search going back from February 1 to this moment or later?" Smiley face, winky face. Searching for all activity not just RC code 0 for wildcard asterisk dot yoda dot in recursive. Thanks. Page 276. That same day, Tech Company 1 Employee 1 uploaded data responsive to Joffe's request to a file transfer site and emailed Joffe. February 114 uploaded to SFTP site. Note that these contain everything, including TLD queries. On the following day, Joffe replied, Tech Company 1 Employee 1, looks like no activity for EOP, right? Odd. Could you redo all of January so we can see when it disappeared? Later that day, Tech Company 1 Employee 1 responded to Joffe, yeah, I only looked for a couple of hours on the first day, but I noticed the same thing. Most of the recursive traffic was from Komodo address. I think I need to look at overall EOP volume since January 20 to see if there have been significant volume changes. On February 16, 2017, Tech Company 1 Employee 1 emailed Joffe analyzing location information for 3 IP addresses that Tech Company 1 Employee 1 had found communicated with Yodaphone IP addresses between January 6, 2017 and January 19, 2017. Tech Company 1 Employee 1 stated in part, the resolver address in the queries is that the address that is dedicated to Tech Company 5 and was used for EOP traffic. Only the first client address maps to EOP. The others are the IP address from Haifa, Israel, another IP address from Madison, Wisconsin, and another one from Amazon AWS. The timestamps on the records are a bit confusing as well. 2 queries from 2 different addresses for the same queue name at the exact same record in 2 different nodes, Chicago and Frankfurt, may be an error in processing, but still odd. As of approximately 5 months later, Tech Company 1 Employee 1 was continuing to run Trump-related searches over the Tech Company 1's DNS traffic. In particular, on July 18, 2018, Tech Company 1 Employee 1 emailed Joffe, I have 4 jobs that look specifically for Trump data. Page 277. Client IP, and it lists 3 IPs. Queue name trump1.contact-client.com. Queue name equals mail1.trump-email.com. A query that looks for a bunch of alpha ban.ru domains. In sum, it appears that efforts to gather and mine data concerning Trump from Tech Company 1's DNS data continued for many months after the 2016 presidential election. Efforts by Research Executive 1 and others. The office also gathered information reflecting that soon after the 2016 election, a number of individuals with ties to the Clinton campaign or Democratic politics met, organized, and executed additional efforts through which they intended to ensure that research and dissemination of materials concerning election interference, including Trump's possible illicit ties to Russia, would continue. These efforts included continued work regarding the Alpha Bank and Yodaphone allegations, as described in further detail below. Participants in these activities continued to provide materials to the FBI in an effort to trigger further investigations of Trump ties to Russia. In the days immediately after the election, former Clinton campaign chair Podesta began speaking with associates about a specific potential research project, mainly to create a nonprofit organization that would conduct research regarding election interference and would assist the U.S. government and the media in gathering information on this issue. Podesta spoke and met with Glenn Simpson, Research Executive 1, and others regarding his idea. Podesta told investigators that he was unaware at the time or at any time prior to October 2017 that Glenn Simpson and Fusion GPS had carried out opposition work on the Steele dossier and related matters on behalf of Podesta's prior employer, the Clinton campaign. According to Podesta, he knew during the campaign that Perkins Coie was conducting opposition research for the campaign, but did not know who had been actually conducting that research until October 2017, when he learned specifically that Fusion GPS had been paid by both the campaign and the DNC. In approximately the late 2016 time period, former U.S. Senator Tom Daschle brokered an introduction between Podesta and Research Executive 1, who previously had worked as an FBI analyst, as a Senate Armed Services Committee staffer, and at a private firm founded by Daschle, the Daschle Group. By that time, Research Executive 1 had founded and was running Research Organization 1, which conducted research for private clients. Page 278. Podesta assisted Research Executive 1 by helping him contact and vet numerous potential donors on the West Coast who would ultimately fund Research Executive 1's research on election interference. Also, at around this time, Glenn Simpson called Research Executive 1 and sought her assistance on Podesta proposed election interference project. Research Executive 1 and Simpson initially met for coffee in Washington, D.C. In December 2016, Simpson briefed Research Executive 1 on the work he had been doing concerning Trump's reported ties to Russia and expressed concern for his own safety. According to Research Executive 1, Simpson did not mention, and Research Executive 1 did not know at the time, that Simpson had been doing work for Perkins Coie or the Clinton campaign. In January 2017, Simpson and Research Executive 1 met to discuss the potential research project. Also on January 2017, and as a result of these discussions, Research Executive 1 formed Research Organization 2, a nonprofit organization that would continue researching election interference issues, including Trump's potential ties to Russia. Following its information, Research Organization 2 entered into a contract with Fusion GPS and hired a number of specialists to assist its research. Research Organization 2 also maintained a contract with Steele's firm, Orbis Business Intelligence, aka Walsingham Partners. As noted above, among the research that Research Organization 2 conducted and provided to the FBI was an analysis of the Alpha Bank allegations. According to Research Executive 1, he first became aware of these allegations when Senator Reid's office contacted him in 2017 to inform him of them. Research Executive 1 learned from the staffer for Senator Reid, Reid Staffer 2, whom Research Executive 1 knew from his time on Senate staff, that there was a particular client who used the name Max and who was behind the allegations. Research Executive 1 also learned that Reid had requested further information from the FBI about its efforts to investigate this matter, because multiple senators were reportedly frustrated that, in their view, the FBI was not investigating the Alpha Bank allegations. Research Executive 1 agreed to research the issue through Research Organization 2. In conducting work on the Alpha Bank matter, Research Executive 1 isolated Fusion GPS from the project for reasons unknown to the office. Page 279. As a result of receiving this information from the Senate Armed Services Committee, Research Executive 1 met in early 2017 with Sussman and Perkins Coie's at Perkins Coie's office. At the meeting, Sussman discussed the allegations, including media reports concealing them. According to Research Executive 1, Sussman did not identify his client by name, but stated that he, Sussman, was dealing with the government on the issues, that he was persuaded by the data, and that he was frustrated by the FBI's dismissal of it. Sussman also described to Research Executive 1 his interactions with the media and his frustration with their coverage of it. Later that year, Research Executive 1 again met with Sussman at Perkins Coie regarding the Alpha Bank allegations. Sussman's client, Jaffe, was also present at this meeting. During their discussions, Sussman and Jaffe stated that they believed the FBI had sent the Alpha Bank allegations to the wrong investigative team. Research Executive 1 was told that Jaffe was part of a multi-million-dollar program that collected DNS data, which was the source of the data underlying the Alpha Bank allegations. During the same time period, Research Executive 1 had assembled an investigative team to examine the Alpha Bank allegations, including a number of DNS experts who had previously worked for multiple U.S. intelligence agencies. Research Executive 1's team tested Jaffe's data and conducted their own analysis. The team was skeptical of the Alpha Bank data and found no evidence of a secret channel of communication, but Research Executive 1 said, quote, "It was something." Research Executive 1 also learned of the Yodaphone allegations from Sussman. Research Executive 1's team did some, but not a lot of, work on these allegations. Research Executive 1 told our investigators that he was totally skeptical of the Yodaphone assertions. Research Executive 1 understood that the EOP's computer network was run by the Department of Homeland Security, which contracted out the services to an unknown vendor with access to the data that formed the basis for the Yodaphone allegations. Page 280. Meeting between DARPA and University 1. In connection with its consideration of the Alpha Bank issue, the office also gathered information about meetings between certain of the aforementioned University 1 employees and staff members of both the Senate Armed Services Committee and HPSCI. During at least one of these meetings, the participants discussed the Alpha Bank allegations, including the possibility that researchers under DARPA's Enhanced Attribution Program might assist HPSCI in investigating the allegations. The office considered whether these activities might be relevant to the prosecution for contract fraud or abuse of government resources. In early October 2018, a representative of the Senate Armed Services Committee requested via University 1's Government Affairs representative that researchers affiliated with the Enhanced Attribution Program, or EA program, provided a briefing to committee staff members in Washington, D.C. Personnel at University One agreed to facilitate such a briefing. In late October 2018, another University One researcher, University One Researcher 3, and a DARPA Program Manager, DARPA Program Manager 1, traveled to Washington, D.C. to provide the briefing. Upon their arrival, University One Researcher 3 and DARPA Program Manager 1 met with Reed Staffer 2 and another committee staffer in the Russell Senate Office Building. At the meeting, which lasted only a short time, University One Researcher 3 and DARPA Program Manager 1 provided a broad and brief overview of the EA program, which they understood to be the purpose of the meeting. At the conclusion of the meeting, which had been cut short due to scheduling conflicts, Reed Staffer 2 indicated to University One Researcher 3 that he would like to schedule a follow-up meeting with University One researchers in attendance so that the committee staff could receive a more comprehensive briefing on the EA program. The following month, in October 2018, University Researcher 3 and University One Researcher 2 traveled to Washington, D.C. to provide a second briefing on EA staffers for the Senate Armed Services Committee. University One Researcher 2 recalled that the night before the meeting, he spoke with Jaffe, who told him that after the Senate briefing, there was going to be another meeting Jaffe wanted him to attend. Jaffe told the University One Researcher 2 that there would be someone to meet with him to take him to this other meeting. A November 18 meeting occurred on the Hart Senate Office Building with Reed Staffer 2 and 2 staffers present. Page 281. At the meeting, University One Researcher 3 and University One Researcher 2 gave an unclassified presentation regarding the EA program and the history of DNS. Following the meeting in the Senate space, Reed Staffer 2 informed University One Researcher 3 and University One Researcher 2 that some other people were interested in speaking with them. University One Researcher 3 and University One Researcher 2 agreed to meet with these other people, who turned out to be HPSCI staffers. But the meeting needed to be quick due to University One Researcher 3's schedule. Reed Staffer 2 then brought them into the secure space of the HPSCI. Before the meeting, University One Researcher 3 told Reed Staffer 2 that University One Researcher 2 did not possess a security clearance, to which Reed Staffer 2 stated that the briefing would be unclassified. After arriving in the HPSCI secure conference room, Reed Staffer 2 introduced University One Researcher 3 and University One Researcher 2 to several HPSCI staffers. During the meeting, University One Researcher 3 and University One Researcher 2 began to provide a similar presentation to that which they had given to the Senate staffers. Soon after the start of the presentation, however, the committee staffers cut University One Researcher 3 off and showed him and University One Researcher 2 a news article about Trump, Russia, and Alpha Bank that University One and Researcher 3 had not seen previously. The staffers asked University One Researcher 3 to read the article and said they wanted University One's help with the matter. And Reed Staffer 2 said University One Researcher 3 could make it easier. University One Researcher 3 said he responded by saying that it would be inappropriate for a public university to do that, and he suggested they contact DARPA. University One Researcher 3 told investigators that Reed Staffer 2 then said, quote, "We are now in charge," end quote, and one of the HPSCI staffers said that their boss, Congressman Adam Schiff, would soon take over leadership of HPSCI. University One Researcher 3 took the comment as a mild threat. University One Researcher 3 said he then dragged University One Researcher 2 out of the meeting. University One Researcher 2 similarly recalled that University One Researcher 3 had quickly ended the meeting. University One Researcher 3 told investigators that he told University One Researcher 2, quote, "Don't touch this with a 10-foot pole. Stay away from this," end quote. Page 282. University One Researcher 3 said he had no recollection of University One Researcher 2 mentioning the work and the research University One Researcher 2, already had done at University One regarding the Alpha Bank-related allegations. University One Researcher 3 recalled that he informed DARPA Program Manager 1 of this request from the HPSCI staffers, including his objections to the nature of the request. University One Researcher 3 recalls that DARPA Program Manager 1 listened but did not react substantively to the information. When interviewed by the office, DARPA Program Manager 1 denied learning of the Alpha Bank allegations other than through media reports. DARPA Program Manager 1 maintained that he was unaware of any role that University One personnel played in the Alpha Bank allegations. The relevant Trump Organization email domain and Yotaphone data. This subsection first describes what our investigation found with respect to the allegation that there was a covert communications channel between the Trump Organization and Alpha Bank. It includes the information we obtained from interviews of ListStack and Cendyn employees. It then turned to the allegation that there was an unusual Russian phone operating on the Trump Organization's networks and in the Executive Office of the President. We tasked subject matter experts from the FBI Cyber Technical Analysis and Operations section to evaluate both of these allegations. With respect to the allegation that there was a covert channel of communication between the Trump Organization and Alpha Bank, FBI subject matter experts conducted technical analysis and made assessments of the passive DNS data and information that was provided to the FBI and CIA in the white papers. We also interviewed employees at 2 contractors involved in managing the TrumpEmail.com domain, Cendyn and ListTrack. Cendyn, a customer relationship manager or marketing services provider, registered the domain on behalf of Trump Organization in 2009. The IP address associated with the domain, 66.216.133.29, is and was operated by ListStack, a subcontractor of Cendyn. ListTrack provides marketing automation services, including sending bulk emails. Page 283. ListTrack personnel stated that the Trump Organization's IP address was one of numerous IP addresses assigned to a cluster of 4 to 8 physical servers that handle all outbound email for thousands of the ListTrack clients. Significantly, ListTrack informed us that the IP address and domain used for the Trump Organization were configured to only send outbound email. Moreover, ListTrack explained that, as is customary for such services, no one in the Trump Organization had direct technical or system administrator access to ListTrack servers. Indeed, the very notion of a Trump server is a misnomer, and that the servers involved did not belong to and were not controlled by the Trump Organization. To the contrary, the servers belonged to and were controlled by ListTrack at all the times. ListTrack further stated that it never had, during this time period, a dedicated server, physical or virtual, to handle Trump Organization communications. Rather, the server that hosted the Trump Organization housed hundreds of other clients, and that each server sent millions of emails out for clients. Cendyn personnel told us that the Trump Organization's contact with Cendyn for digital and email marketing ended in 2015, but the domain name continued to be registered and pointed to the same IP address. Moreover, after Cendyn's contact with the Trump Organization expired in 2015, Cendyn continued to use the IP address to send emails out on behalf of other Cendyn clients. However, there was no data provided at the time, nor is such currently available, that shows which clients were sending email from the IP address during the May through September 2016 time period examined in the white paper. Cendyn, however, maintained technical control of the domain until March 2017. Similarly, ListTrack maintained complete control of its servers during the same May through September 2016 time period. Page 284. Because the Trump Organization had no access to the server or any of the systems involved, ListTrack personnel told us that the only way any alleged covert communications channel could have existed would be if ListTrack employees deliberately modified their mission-critical servers with a non-standard software or configurations. But they pointed out that making such changes would risk the integrity, reliability, or availability of their systems. Moreover, ListTrack told us that changing its servers to accommodate incoming messages would completely alter the core structure of its business operations, which is primarily to send out outgoing mass marketing emails. ListTrack employees responsible for the design and administration of these servers categorically stated this did not happen and that it would be impossible for it to have happened without their knowledge and without affecting other clients' account functions and operations. In addition to investigating the actual ownership and control of the IP address, the office tasked FBI cyber experts with analyzing the technical claims made in the white paper. This endeavor included their examination of the list of email addresses and send times for all emails sent from the Listac email server from May through September 2016, which is the time period the white paper purportedly examined. The FBI experts also conducted a review of the historical Tor exit node data. The technical analysis done by the FBI experts revealed that the data provided by Sussman to the FBI and used to support Jaffe and the cyber researchers' claims that a, quote, very unusual distribution of source IP addresses, end quote, was making queries for mail1.trump-email.com was incomplete. Specifically, the FBI experts determined that there had been a substantial amount of email traffic from the IP addresses that resulted in a significantly larger volume of DNS queries for the mail1.trump-email.com domain than what Jaffe, University 1 Researcher 2, and the cyber researcher reported in the white paper were included on the thumb drives accompanying it. The FBI experts reviewed all the outbound email transmissions, including address and send times for all emails sent from the Listac server from May through September 2016, and determined that there had been a total of 134,142 email messages sent between May and August 2016, with the majority sent on May 24 and June 23. Page 285. The recipients included a wide range of commercial email services, including Google and Yahoo, as well as corporate email accounts for multiple corporations. Footnote 1652. The Onion Router, or Tor, is an open-source global anonymous communications platform frequently used to access websites without exposing the IP address of the browser or the website or to intermediary observation. Tor publishes a list of Tor exit nodes, which are the last node in a Tor circuit, and which provides an unencrypted connection to Internet hosts. Footnote 1653. Our experts noted that the assertion of the white paper is not only that Alpha Bank and Spectrum Health servers had resolved or looked up the domain mail1.trump-email.com during a period from May through September 2016, but that their resolutions accounted for the vast majority of lookups for this domain. Footnote 1654. The USB drive that Sussman provided to the FBI on September 19, 2016, which was proffered as data supporting the claims in the white paper, contained 851 records of DNS resolutions for domains ending in trump-email.com. Page 285. Similarly, the FBI experts told us that the collection of passive DNS data used to support the claims made in the white paper was also significantly incomplete. They explained that, given the documented email transmissions from IP address 66.216.133.29 during the covered period, the representative sampling of passive DNS would have necessarily included a much larger volume and distribution of queries from source IP addresses across the Internet. In light of this fact, they stated that the passive DNS data that Jaffe and his cyber researchers compiled and that Sussman passed on to the FBI was significantly incomplete, as it included no A-record host-named IP address resolutions corresponding to the outgoing messages from the IP addresses. Without further information from those who compiled the white paper data, the FBI experts stated that it is impossible to determine whether the absence of additional A-record resolutions is due to the visibility afforded by the passive DNS operator, the result of the specified queries that the compiling analysts used to query the data set, or intentional filtering applied by the analysts after retrieval. The FBI experts also examined the white paper's claim that particular Spectrum Health IP address is a Tor exit node used exclusively by Alpha Bank. Alpha Bank communications enter a Tor node somewhere in the world, and those communications exit presumably untraceable at Spectrum Health. However, the FBI experts assisting us noted that Tor publishes a comprehensive list of exit nodes dating back to February 22, 2010. The FBI examined this data for dates between February 22, 2010 and September 1, 2021. No instance of IP addresses in the range of 167.73 .x.x assigned to Spectrum Health were ever indexed as Tor exit nodes.